Welcome back one more time to the Beyond the Summit Studios coverage of the Kiev major qualifiers. Lumi, we don't like you, man. You were right about the last game. We're just going to cut you right out of the shot. Lumi, the only one of our panel picking Mineski to win that last game. I'm also joined by Blaze and Iason, who joined me in the We Were Wrong column in a game that did not disappoint, in a game that went exactly 8 seconds past the 1 hour mark. Mineski takes a 1-0 lead in the series. As you can see on the screen behind us, we are already into the Game 2 draft. We're going to take you guys into there, but I just want to briefly get you guys' reaction to Game 1. I got to be a little worried about Clutch Gamers coming into this one. They did everything they wanted to. Abing was actually in with 10 kills and 20 assists. He was in on all 30 of their team kills in that first game, and they still lost. How do you come back here in Game 2?
You just got to shake it off. It's a new game. Honestly, I did not expect them to lose. I don't think they needed to lose. That last engagement was pretty much what sealed the deal. You know, they took a team fight. They ended up losing it because Mineski bought back 4 heroes, and then just some miscommunication. They let their Tinker die without any kind of assistance, and that was his buyback. And just like that, the game went from, you know, what was meant to be a lead for Clutch Gamers into straight up loss.
Well, let's get right into the. I actually wish we had about 10 more minutes to break down that game, because there are so many things you could talk about. But let's make sure that we get right into the draft here for Game 2. Mineski going a little bit unconventional. We had seen the first phase Weaver out of a couple of teams, including Clutch Gaming in this region. But this is the first time I think I've seen a first phase Shadow Fiend in SEA play. Who is the Shadow Fiend player of this team? Is this a Miracle or
They swap.
Okay.
But it's mostly Jay playing it, and Jay has a beastly Shadow.
And Jay is Raging Potato, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or whatever you want to call him.
I never can keep
him,
that straight.
Yeah, he has like 8 different names. The reason he is super strong, and they generally give him a very good lane, and he is absolutely so dominant. It allows Miracle to play these more of, like, for example, a magic-based Mirana. It allows Miracle to do other stuff.
Okay.
So he plays a carry position from the mid lane, essentially.
Yeah, and that's, I think, some of the games that I've seen them do best at are the games that they've had Miracle on, like your really damage mid-game carries, your Ursas, your, like you said, the spell damage Mirana. So I like that as a look for them. I don't necessarily know that first phase Shadow Fiend is something we're going to be seeing a lot of.
I will say that I don't think this draft would have come out if they didn't take Game 1. If they didn't have a game to fall back on, if it was going to be dropping them into a lower bracket if this failed, I don't think they would have the confidence to first phase this kind of a hero. They can still run it, of course, but opening up with it this early, it's because they have that safety net. It's because they already are coming off of a win. And while that was a bit of a dicey one, they did make some really good decisions in that game. They knew that at a certain stage, critical mass is there for Clutch Gamers, and there is counterplay. They found their opening, and now they want to create more opportunities more proactively for themselves. Like Ogre and Shadow Fiend are very do things heroes. They get involved, they get in your face. Sometimes Shadow Fiend will have like a 5 to 10 minute window where he's farming a lot in the jungle, but otherwise you're seeing him very involved in fights and pushing and in constant pressure.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with you, with the exception of if they pick Drow, then I think that they definitely don't treat this as a, we have a game to fall back on, because Mineski have definitely run Drow strats like this before with this kind of a setup. And like you said, you know, Jay is a
Have they done it recently? I remember seeing them from that in the last major cycle, but I haven't seen them go with Drow.
Not recently, but they're definitely a team that runs Drow, and I know it's a hero that Miracle likes playing. And you know, since you want Jay to be that explosive player like Lumi described, what better way than to help them with the Drow aura?
Okay.
I think so, but like also you have to realize that a lot of Drow lineups lack control to an extent. Some of the range supports are not going to be as heavy in
There's
disables.
the Drow ban.
And
they banned themselves.
It's scary. It's scary. I mean, you got the physical damage amp of the Slardar. Weaver already getting some extra benefit from it from the Geminate. So in general, like I feel like if you have Drow, Shadow Fiend, Ogre, you have to be really worried about how much lack of control you have.
They actually picked the RR Puck in the offlane with it.
Yeah,
so
Puck is one of the better disabling offlaners that can benefit from the Drow. So
Drow's no longer in the picture, so
it works. But all the same, I think that they probably want maybe like a disruptor or something, just something that can offer tangible ways to lock down very slippery heroes like the Weaver that Clutch are going to be comfortable with.
So one thing that the Clutch drafter have to keep in mind is that Shadow Blade is always Jay's go-to as a first core item on the Shadow Fiend. So that's something. If you're picking supports, you can't pick supports that are too greedy in terms of gold because your pockets are going to be pretty taxed. And Crystal Maiden, well, decent support to actually combat Shadow Blade heroes. Cause
this is also very much in their comfort zone. This is Clutch's most picked hero by far. 21 picks in the last month of this hero. The next highest is 11 for them, and I believe they're 19-2 with it. So yeah, they are very, very confident with that hero.
Yeah. And I think we've seen Boombacks more on the slaughter than Hannah for the most part. So we have to admit that they have some good flexibility with that hero. Can run it as a pure offlaner, as a support that takes the 4-position farm. I think that they're going to be able to do a lot either way, but yeah, I think there's a lot of good potential if they maybe do like a Darkseer slaughter like we've seen a lot in the group stage. Darkseer got banned out, but you get just the slaughter and the Crystal Maiden very much in your face, limiting Shadow Fiend's options, forcing him to go into an earlier BKB. Things like that are going to make it a little bit more difficult for Jay to be aggressive.
No, that's something that I think has been really one of Clutch Gamers. We mentioned in the first draft, but their secret to success here is that they've run some very greedy 4-position heroes for Boombacks. You saw the Kunkka in the last game, which I actually felt so badly for him losing that game because there were so many fights where he landed 3 and 4 X's on the Storm and the Weaver, taking away their mobility. But they've not been scared to shift Boombacks over onto the Slaughter and the Sand King, other traditional 3-roll heroes, and then pick another 3 for Hannah. So you're talking about the disabling offlaner. They've effectively had 2 of those in a lot of these drafts.
Exactly. So they have a lot of different ways they can go with this next pick here. Probably still going to grab something for Hannah, but I mean, it could be something very, very in your face. I'm not so sure about like a Clockwork pick anymore. While I think it's a great counter to Shadow Fiend, they're going to go with an Axe.
Oh yeah. This has this is the thing I really like about Clutch. But then the Ursa that I mentioned earlier for Miracle, I love these games. I love drafts where both teams get their strength. Both teams get what they want to do, and you just get to see that style versus style matchup.
Clutch Gamers, I feel like this matchup definitely favors Clutch Gamers. I always feel like whenever you have an Ursa against an Axe, it's just so dangerous for your Ursa because if you get caught out with that Blade Mail, you are instantly dead.
Same for the Shadow Fiend, man. He packs a punch, right? So I mean, I think that's where Axe's strength. Like, honestly, if you look at the lineup, Axe is not going to be able to Coaling Blade too much because his team doesn't have too much burst damage. It's just, what, Crystal Nova or a Slithering Crush. But once you put in the Blade Mail in that equation,
the Blade Mail is huge.
Yeah, the Blade Mail, and you still got the 5th hero. This could easily be like a spell damage Ember Spirit.
We saw TNC playing this hero a lot, and they play it as an off lane. And this is going to be an off lane by RR.
Yeah. It's got to be.
If you play it properly, we saw, what is it, Sam H on that hero yesterday. Ooh, he was just like running into the lane. I think Nuts playing the AA just got solo kill like twice. It was insane what he could have done. Now, I don't think RR is on the same level as...
So is this... What are the lanes here for Mineski? Is this going to be
Shadow Fiend
Ogre?
Yeah, Omni Ogre, and then you get Ursa Rubik, and then you get Shadow Fiend mid.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's going to be what the lanes are going to look like.
So what's your mid pick here? I like something with a bit of burst damage.
They definitely need more damage.
10 seconds remaining.
OD?
TA, there you go. Yeah. I like that pick a lot, actually. What do you think about the TA-SF matchup? Because that to me becomes, mid lane is obviously important in every program that you talk about, but in this particular game, I think the mid matchup is so huge because if the Shadow Fiend gets off to a good start and gets the Shadow Blade up early, I think that disrupts a lot of what Clutch Gamers have been running with the strength in their support.
It depends if Ogre is going to start mid.
Exactly.
We saw yesterday there was a lot of Ignite being thrown at the PA. Or TA.
And the TA feels like paper.
Well, she just meld dodges, or at least tries to.
We've actually seen level 1 melds against Ogres.
Really?
Yeah.
They just disjoint the Ignite every time.
It depends if Ogre goes with a Sentry in the mid lane. And then
that's really clever.
It also depends if Omni Knight needs the help, right? Because if you look at the lane that he's up against, Weaver, CM, Slaughter, that's a tough
10
lane.
seconds remaining.
So Ogre's attention is going to be really stretched. Like, he needs help mid. He needs to help Omni. So.
Do you think they try? Do you think they defensive try?
I would actually rather them Slardar Axe,
yes,
at least in the early phase. Just kind of put some pressure, let them know that this is going to be a potential lane. Oh,
because they've been pretty comfortable with. They've run a number of configurations, have Clutch Gaming, where their Axe starts top and then almost immediately goes to the jungle, and they have that other support, Boomback support sort of hang up top, soak XP a little bit, and then roam around to other areas of the map.
Are they doing some hero switching? Because right now, Boombax is on CM.
That's
No, it's definitely fly solo CM. He's done it way more.
Yeah.
Boombax has played tons of Slaughter too, so they're just gonna grabbing the hero pickups and figuring it out after the unpause comes out.
All right, so we're going to raise the stakes a little bit here, guys. So we've been doing predictions, but I want you guys to do the Blitz doubleheader for me. I want you to tell me who's your winner, and I want you to tell me when are they going to win.
When are they going?
When
That's
are they
tough,
gonna win?
man.
Give
Have
me
you
a
seen
game
these C
time.
games? It's so.
I know, that's the thing. This region has had so many long games.
I think 45 minutes into the last game, I look at House is like, I don't think it really even matters
exactly.
what the draft or what we're predicting based on the draft, because games are just so close based on how they play. So I don't know.
I'm just gonna throw out a random number. I'm gonna go with Clutch Gamers again. I still believe in them, and I'm gonna say 50 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know. We have like this Omni Ursa that Liquid used to run a lot, and I just feel like there's so much potential for the aggression. I didn't expect going into this that we'd see like a Mineski 2-0, and I still think Clutch is really strong, but I actually think Mineski might be able to run this one over at like 28 minutes.
28.
Wow, okay.
I'm going to go with Mineski as well. I've seen Jay on Shadow Fiend. He is absolutely destructive on this hero. I don't think it's going to be a 28-minute victory. I'm going to go with like 37. Like 35 to 40 is where I'm feeling at.
Yeah.
So Mineski, 37.
No, I'm going to go with Mineski as well. I feel like that last pick Omni Knight was really inspired. I'm going to go I'm going to go 42 minutes. There you go.
The price is right, man. We're just bumping a bit higher.
Exactly.
Right.
And
the
1
only one on
second.
Clutch.
All right. Well, it seems like the majority of our panel feel like it's going to be a 2-0 Mineski win, advancing on in the upper bracket. Again, this is double elimination, so Clutch can afford to lose here and still be alive, but you definitely don't want to drop down at this point. With that said, possibly the deciding game of the series, let's send it out to our casters. Here are Lyrical and Gods.
30 seconds to battle.
So he's not going to invest in a Wraith Band, which is kind of a wasted item for TA because you don't want to go Ring of Aquila. So I like this build a bit more. He even gets the D-Ward, so his CM gives him the D-Ward onto the high ground, pulls him another Tango, and he's going to have that bottle like almost instantly on the first wave.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, already up to 460 and able to get a little bit more off the back of this. More Tango shared, so Abang being a nice little position one for his position two. You don't always end up seeing that, though. When did you pull Tango first, buddy?
The big thing for here is the Ogres being able to secure Shadow Fiend the early CS, because there is no way Shadow Fiend gets any last hits against TA without some support, and that's Ogre's job. But similarly, the Slatter can mess with that, but it looks like Slatter's heading top, so this TA may have a rough time. The block should favor the SF as well, because the Ogre was blocking it from the very base. So yeah, it looks like SF will be able to get souls just because the Ogre's here, and that's an important thing to note with this mid lane. Otherwise, TA just walks away with it.
Well, Armel taking a good amount of harassment, and it hurts. It hurts. It hurts.
He can't even get his bottle money. That's actually a concern when you can't get your bottle up.
Trying to draw aggro. It's not going to happen. Armel going to need to Tango through this, and as well as pop Refraction. Yeah, this
Instantly
is
burned. Like, that's the Ignite, the Orb of Venom just burns away that Refraction. He just got crushed. This is meant to be like, I mean, 1v1 TA wrecks SF, but all it takes is one Ogre wave presence and the lane goes the other way. SF 5-5 soul. Suddenly, SF just tells his Ogre, like, dude, peace out. I've won this lane.
Yeah.
I'm going to win this lane just fine.
I'm wondering if maybe this is a bit of a mistake, because like, what is it that Slardar has really done up here as opposed to what it could have happened in the mid lane helping out his TA, but Fly Solo now maybe in trouble as well. They're gonna not have another lift for a while, but the Ignite is still doing a decent chunk as well. The ground pound does not come out from Miracle, so they are getting a little bit aggressive up here. This is a battle lane.
I think it's a huge mistake. Not having Slatter mid at level 1 to me is like a necessity. It is the deciding factor for SF's game. Like, oh, not his entire game, but for his early game, and whether he can win his lane or have to just go jungle and play catch up is that first creep wave. And the fact Slatter's not there for the first creep wave, and I mean, Ursa's on 3 CS. That's the trade-off. They've managed to slow down Ursa's early game CSing, but I think SF is the much better hero to shut down. So I'm not a fan of them not sending Slatter mid at level 1. But we'll see how they adjust it. The end result is TA will at least stabilize the lane. Now that it's a 1v1, TA will still be able to farm here. Just that SF is not going to get beat in this 1v1 matchup.
Yeah, more of a lost opportunity than a fail, like, you know, bad thing happening for the TA, I guess.
Yeah.
Is a decent way. But yeah, they're going to farm up as well, pulling out and taking down a large creep, and, you know, experience always a necessity for them. So we'll see if they can make anything happen up top here. What do you think about a tri-lane versus tri-lane scenario? Who ends up winning out in this instance?
Let's see. So CM's already got the aura up, and it does mean they won't have the Nova, but I think with aura they're pretty okay with this one. Max and Omni kind of fighting things up here towards the bounty room, but they're going to TP in. They're actually going for this kill. Ogre's presence is likely going to be enough. Next Purification should be a kill.
Hana, good call there. That might give him enough range to get into the shrine, but unfortunately, it has already been used. They try and bring in the Slardar. They only find the crush onto RR, so weren't able to save that axe, and yeah, a big kill there for him.
Jules is MVPing this early game from securing that level 1 SF mid lane to well, not really securing much at top, but he went top to make sure that the Ursa had a slightly better time, and now finding that kill with that TP in his early game as an Ogre has been phenomenal.
Oh my god, and now the CM maybe in some trouble as well. They get the Frostbite, that's keeping him alive for the moment, trying to get out of there, but already the CM is dead, and they're not going to break through the salve either of Miracle, so the Bearman is going to keep on just hitting away, and now you've also got Jules heading back towards mid to secure a bit more farm for the SF. This early game is just fantastic for Mineski.
Yep. Well, Omni Knight getting that first blood, he was losing a lane to an Axe. Like, that's just going to happen. Axe wins that 1v1 matchup, but he got first blood, giving him a big chunk of gold, which gets him Arcane Boots. Suddenly, he can actually hold his own 1v1 because he has constant mana to spam in this lane with Arcane Boots and level 5, so likely we see level 3 Purification. This Axe can't just bully the Omni Knight out of the lane anymore. Suddenly, this 1v1 matchup you were meant to win isn't being won. The 1v1 at mid you were meant to win isn't being won. You laned it such that you could have 2 favorable 1v1 matchups, and neither of those lanes is winning. That's the beauty of what Jules has done on this Ogre. He has managed to tip the scales of 2 bad 1v1 matchups into his team's favor.
Ogre Magi again.
What a hero.
at least as of yesterday, 70% win rate. Mineski have not lost with it on their team so far. I don't know if it's just teams like forgetting how to play against it, or if it's just what he brings to the table. It's working.
He's
though.
played very well. He caught them a bit by surprise, perhaps, with that TP down bottom.
Yeah.
But I think the mid stuff wasn't anything crazy or unexpected, so that was perhaps where you kind of can fault Clutch Gamers a bit for not having being more ready for the Ogre's presence at mid.
Well,
Flysol isn't deep on this slider. I don't know what he's trying to. This is one of those games where you're the 4 position slider and you're early, like all your lanes are falling apart, and you're like, shit, what do I do now? Like, do I go jungle? You don't have an Iron Talon, so you can't just go jungle. You've also got an Axe and a TA. They want a jungle, so your role as a slider is kind of create space. But how do you create space when you're losing in all 3 lanes?
yeah, and I mean, no TPs really to come in to try and help turn this either. They're going to go for a crush possibly, but is this really what you need to be doing right now? They ended up going for the Sakuchi forward. They might end up losing the Weaver, and now possibly more. Miracle is going to drop, but it comes at the cost of the Weaver, and I mean, I don't even know. I'm not sure if it's worth it.
Not really worth it. It's like they had to do something is the thing, and they were hoping they could get that kill without losing Weaver. The Sentry and Miracle just holding his ground fighting meant that they could get the return kill, so in their head they were like, alright, we'll definitely get this kill and hopefully we get away with it. But it took a 3-man hold our ground, fight with the Sentry Ward to kill the Weaver, and Mineski made the right call to react to the aggression. So if Mineski didn't make the right call there, you get the kill without a casualty, but I think it's the kind of play, like, you're losing the lanes this bad, you have to go for that kind of a move.
Middle tower is under
God, this mid lane, 45 CS, 17 denies, SF. Limbo just walking away with it.
Yeah, and I mean, Armel in the meantime, he's got a ward up here on his cliff and drop down so low. He can go and try and like take down these Ancients or just heal back up from the shrine and go to lane, but it's never going to be easy. And I mean, he's dropping down that low with just the Shadow Fiend in the lane, so if they make any type of rotation at all, there's a good chance that this TA just dies, and they've been bringing detection to fights already because they've got the Weaver there. This is rough.
Another smoke from Slider, but not entirely sure where he's headed or what he thinks he can do. Top lane looks to be the most exposed. The lone Ursa for now. Ogre is roaming around bottom. Rubik's not in the lane, so this is an exposed Ursa, but they don't know how exposed Ursa is. They don't see either of these 2 supports, so It's one of those things where even though Miracle's alone, because the enemy don't know he's alone, they're assuming the support's perhaps camping behind him, and as a result, they're going mid for the slider instead. And I don't know if they can get this kill. Ogre's here, TP's coming.
Yeah, they're already on top of him as the DD rune. Can they get the lift back by Ninja Boogie? It doesn't look like it's going to happen.
If he got that lift, that was a likely dead TA. That would have been a big disaster for Clutch Gamers, but TA backs off at just the right time to not get caught. And Mineski going to go for a smoke of their own. They TP mid. They're like, well, we may as well use the fact we're in this area to smoke a wrap around mid or even set up bottom lane. They know Omni Knight can pressure the tower. He can just kind of skip waves with Purification, and even just getting wards deep in the enemy jungle at this stage of the game is very advantageous for Mineski.
Yeah, it definitely feels like right now, Clutch Gamers realizing they're not going to be able to do much. They're just trying to farm up on their heroes. You can see Axe, he has enough gold for the Vanguard right now, but actually does not have it yet, and Hana's going to be pulled back in. Isn't able to get the call. Maybe with the TP support in, they can do something, but he is still dropping oh so low, and they pop Guardian Angel looking for the dunk. It's not there, and the crush onto 3, but there is no follow-up here. Oh, that would have been a big one if they could have turned it.
I mean, speaking of clutchness, that was a clutch Guardian Angel from Omni. If he doesn't use that, he takes the tower hit and perhaps gets low enough to the Culling Blade threshold. But the Guardian Angel used meant that he wasn't taking further damage. I was like, okay, Guardian Angel, sure. And then, like, you see how close he was to dying to the axe, and it makes total sense. Very, very close stuff, and a big kill before Axe picks up. I mean, looks like he's going to go back for the blink now. I think his team's probably telling him, like, guys, we're getting owned in all 3 lanes. We need someone to, like, create some space with a smoke around the mid game, and that's going to be the Axe. He's going to have to go for that blink.
Oh my God, CM almost drops there. Very low. I mean, she's been farming fairly well, has a level 6 at a pretty fast clip, in fact. So possibly the CM, if... it's so hard to get into position, though, and she could just get eliminated anyways.
Nah, I mean, Freezing Field, it's not something you could ever really rely on for damage. Every now and then you'll see that insane, like, 10-second long full duration Freezing Field, but more often than not, CM will just melt die very fast, or there'll be a Fire Blast or a Telekinesis save to cancel it. And then there's stuff like Repel, which can theoretically just block all the damage. Holy crap, Omni has a Midas already, 9 minutes in?
Yeah, that up.
What the heck is going on here? His game has been insanely good.
Mineski are doing it. They came to play.
They are right now. Yeah.
I think that this is a team that not a ton of people had high expectations for either. Like, I think everybody expected, all right, Mineski will probably make it in the playoffs, but they're looking like potentially the second best team in C right now, behind Faceless, and proving it against Clutch Gamers here. We'll see if they can continue up the pressure. But certainly with this draft, they're in a good position to snowball. If you're Clutch right now, though, is it just like buy whatever time you can for this Axe and get that Blink Dagger online?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like he needs too much more. Get Axe's Blink and then go for some smoke moves. Get TA involved as soon as she finishes an item, whether that's going to be the... It looks like for now she's queued up Deso, but there's even some value in getting the Blink first just because it pairs well with the Axe's Blink, but until Slider has a Blink, it's maybe just not all that great. So it looks like TA will go for the Deso first. Won't have that mobility, but will have the ability to farm and perhaps team up with the Axe if she can get in close. But yeah, get the Blink, smoke up, get some kills. Like that's kind of what Clutch Gamers have to do at this point. Nothing too fancy about it, and they've just got to find a way to shut down someone from farming. Ursa is definitely the call that's struggling, but
top lane.
That's going to quickly change.
They take down Abang. They steal Sakuchi as well on the Rubik. So a great spell steal, a great quick kill, and maybe even some more damage. I don't need to push the tower.
I mean, they're also the one core that's struggling to get farmed. Still has only died once and finds a kill on enemy Weaver. So while Ursa doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of items to back him up, he's still able to dish out a huge amount of damage just with a Telekinesis and a Bloodlust. So I think Miracle's happy that knowing that he can still do his job to decent capabilities, and once he gets like a Helm the Dominator creep, he can maybe secure his team Roshan. He just needs a few more points in the Fury Swipe, so we can still see an early Rosh offer this big advantage that Mineski have, despite Ursa not being quite as fast.
Well, Weaver has moved down towards the bottom lane against the Omni Knight. You have Axe, who does have his Blink Dagger done. They push out the wave. Maybe they can make something happen with the smoke that's just brought out from CM.
Is here, Invis.
Oh, God. Oh, Abang! Oh, goes for the time-lapse, okay.
He's trying to place it.
The Shadow Blade is
like,
worn off now, though. 1 raise, 2 raise, not going to be able to kill him off, though. So that Shadow Blade initiation not going as well as they could have happened.
Yeah. Abang didn't know who was Invis, but luckily for him, he never stood still long enough for the SF to get a Requiem kill. That would have been I mean, that would just make things even worse for what is already a pretty bad early game for him, but Arbing nonetheless gets harassed out of this bottom lane. Well, he's not out of the lane, but he's sticking around, but he's very low, which makes it hard to defend with.
All right, well, they spot out the CM as well as the Axe, and that is the blink reveal, unfortunately. Just really good positioning by Mineski. They stick the Ogre on the high ground, know that a smoke ant could come, and now they don't have to worry. They can even turn back into this if they want.
Shadow Blade in.
All right, looking. Can he find it? Oh, Hana, they're going to be completely exposed here. They break the Blink Dagger. There's going to be the Frostbite onto one. The right click's coming through. Freezing Field is pretty decent, but it's not going to be able to be enough, and they find the kill. Yeah, Repel, just too much. Too dead.
Great execution. Nothing fancy about it. Just have the tanky SF in the front. He's got the Omni Knight to back him up. He's got the Ogre to back him up. He goes in. CM tries to Frostbite ulti him, you just repel him, he takes no damage, and everything's good and gravy. And TA's just not ready to fight. TA can try and split push and perhaps go for just like a farming efficiency game with this Desolator, but until there's like a chain blink on both the TA and the Axe, they can't really easily burst down these heroes.
And I'm thinking right now, like, how different this game would feel if Clutch Gamers had a Medusa instead of a TA. That last ban during the draft feeling like really hurting right now, because you would probably be fine with the Medusa just continuing to farm away and maybe even being able to spam out the waves. But with the TA, it's just they feel this need to get stuff done, and it's not happening.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Like, if it was Medusa, you don't mind trading farm for a tower or two, but TA is not going to scale into the late game. This is not a hero you want to play. Like, at this point, Mineski's taking towers. They're going to maybe even secure themselves Roche with the better late game draft. And that to me is scary. And on top of that, I think just the early game falling apart as it did meant this TA is going to be a lot more ineffective than she was perhaps hoping to be. Still needs a Blink Dagger, and Mineski's taking towers while defending them. Like, they took bottom tier 1, then they TP mid to defend that. They take the enemy tier 1 mid, then they TP top to defend that. And now they're going to take this top tier 1 tower. So we're yet to see a tower from Clutch Gamers, or it looks like Harmel might be able to sneak into this mid tier 1. He is pinging it out though, and I think that's something Mineski will try and respond to.
I mean, they got the Satyr Tormentor there just harassing him away as well, and the movement in from the Shadow-Bladed SF. Does he spot out Armal, but well, maybe he can make something happen.
Requiem could do not enough to perhaps bring down the TA, but could do some okay damage. But I mean, it looks like more than anything they just want to defend that T1 mid, so they recognize that top is safe to push while defending mid with just a two-man SF Ogre duo. So they take objectives, they defend their own. Bottom lane though, they haven't defended just yet, but here we go again, they TP in. They're so far ahead that they can take all the objectives they want while defending every single T1 tower on the map. It's very infrequent that you see teams able to take this many tier 1s while defending their tier 1s. And that's exactly what Mineski managed to do. Requiem mid.
Armal ends up breaking through the refraction. Good bit of damage. Can he get another raise? He's just going to walk back. There it is. The kill.
Okay, top lane meanwhile.
All over him. Are they going to be able to get this kill as well? Miracle? All right. So they find something. Blink is pretty good. They able to take down that Ursa finally.
It's the kind of kill they needed to get at this point. Does look like Mineski is still kind of okay with where things are. I mean, they lost their third, like, it's their quote-unquote one-position player. It's their carry role, but it's also, as far as net worth goes, it's their least farm core hero. So if there's anyone who's going to die at this point, I think they'd rather the Ursa die than the SF or the Omni Knight because of how much gold they give, even experience-wise. Ursa's lower level than the other two, so that's probably the core you're happiest to see go down. And it's also the core that isn't needed to push. It's the Omni Knight and the SF who are actually more important for pushing and taking objectives. The heals, the sustain, and the SF for the damage. They're the heroes you want to actually be able to push with. So even with Ursa dead, they push up to this tier 2 mid.
All right, there's the call. They still have Mech. They still have Purification. They still have Repel. They still have Guardian Angel. They get them all off now, turning to fight. Hana in some trouble. It's going to drop. They've got the CM ulti, but there's a whole heck of a lot of people chasing her down as well. The Fire Blast, the Ignite, one right click as well comes in from SF, and that is a tier 2 down.
Bit of Guardian maybe a second sooner because SF got a bit low, but even so, it didn't really matter. I think he had the mech anyway, so he was holding. He was almost trying to bait them in by using some of his spells a bit slower than you'd expect. Top lane again, they take towers, they defend towers. Arbing's trying to sneak this one and just backdoor it, knowing that it's just an Omni Knight, but he also has to be wary that an SF could rotate in. But SF has gone for Roche, and that's something Clutch Gamers' side cannot have.
Oh, Crush. Is it going to be enough? They do kill off Ninja Boogie. Okay, a decent start, but they also lost the Slardar in about 8/10 of a second. And now Roshan's soon to fall as well. Can they hold on to this somehow? Like, they've got freezing fill 40. It's tough.
It's very, very tough. Ursa's just looking to finish this off.
Call.
Oh, Cole catches.
Maybe this could be enough. They're on top of Miracle, but they get the lift and they don't hit the dunk. Ursa's going to go down. They end up snatching the Aegis. All right, Abang is out of there now. Hana is going to fall, and it looks like they're going to lose the Aegis on that Weaver.
Got a sentry.
But yeah, they should have him caught now, and Call comes out. Abang gone.
Miracle didn't he finished off Roche after getting healed up there and gave the opportunity to steal the Roche. I think he knew they'd won the fight regardless, so he just wanted to get Roche and take the Aegis. Could have probably killed the heroes first and then gone back for Roche because it was his Fury Swipe damage that finished off. By the way, very dominant team fight from Mineski, easily won. Handily puts themselves in a position to take a few more objectives. Even without an Aegis in their hands, they're just so far ahead. They've got to complete a full Grease now, which is great because it gives out HP and armor aura when people get low, which against a team that is pure physical damage is going to be fantastic. So this Omni is going to offer a lot right now.
It's pretty nuts how far ahead they've been able to go. And again, a draft, I feel like it's sort of the thing about Clutch Gamers is they've been playing incredibly well, but it's also flying under the radar. Now that teams have had a little bit of time to recognize what they're doing, they can come up with an answer. But we'll see if...
I'm not sure what they can get. I mean, I think it's desperation smoke. They know there's no Aegis. They want to try and catch the back lines. Ideally burst down Omni Knight, I want to say. But easier said than done. This Omni is fairly tanky, has a lift, has a Ogre maybe to help him out too. And Miracle's position catches the smoke.
Rush onto one. They've got a good jump in there as well, but is it going to be enough? CM ulti comes down. Ursa stops that mighty quickly, and Hana is soon to fall as well. 3 dead, and desperation definitely the name of that smoke.
He got the blink call onto the Omni Knight, but the follow-up damage was just too far away. The TA couldn't dish out her damage. I don't think she even blinked on top of the Omni Knight, so it felt like a bit of a disconnect there between the rest of the team. And even so, like the Omni was just tanky enough, he was going to survive. And I mean, realistically, it's GG at this point. They'll likely play it out. And barring some obscene mistakes from Mineski, this game should be in the bag. But I mean, that's the nature of these qualifiers. Things I say it should be GG, but it isn't because you know it's these tense situations. Clutch Gamers still doing what they can to stall things out. You've got TA up top, creep skipping the wave. You could theoretically start trying to just backdoor, take some cheap towers, get some money. And even though Mineski have an early Rax and a big advantage, you never know what can happen in a game of Dota.
Yeah, never give up, never surrender. That's the way to play it. Got to do it that way. But yeah, Solar Crest on Ogre, this game's probably done. We gotta be real about it.
No, absolutely. I mean, anyone who gets gone on your Solar Crest, and how is TA or Weaver even really killing those heroes? I mean, this Weaver's got 0 in the way of I mean, it has the Helm of the Dominator, which is good when you're ahead, and it's good when it's 9 minutes in. It's not good when it's 19 minutes in.
Right. They will do their bestest. I mean, and again, they do have like the nice synergy there if they manage to find somebody without the Solar Crest on them or something. The amp damage, the bugs, they've got, you know, Meld Strike, all of this minus armor built into it.
The plan doesn't change. It's blink, call the Omni, and hope you kill him. That was the plan last fight. It didn't work. I think the plan is still the same. I'm not sure how you change the plan such that it worked. I think Slada didn't get the amp damage off was the big thing. If Slada gets the follow-up, you need a crush as the call ends, so you chain your stuns perfectly, and amp as well to boost up TA's damage. But again, there's just like so many things that have to go perfectly right. And I think that Omni with 1700 HP, Guardian Greaves, and a Solar Crest doesn't even die. If everything goes right, he probably still lives. Good luck, Clutch Gamers. Good luck.
See if they can somehow pull it back from the clutches of defeat. That's not necessarily the way you want to start it, as Hana is going to take a ton of damage. The Silver Edge as well, breaking the spins from Hana, even if they do manage to find a first initiation. And, oh, the Solar Crest, Shadow Fiend is just up there, able to walk on the high ground, even from the low ground. But the call, trying to pull it. Lift, crush, and Mineski looking to finish this one off in style. Are they going to even end up losing the Ursa Repel there as well to keep them alive? They haven't used anything really out of this Omni Knight's kit at this point. And
he's held the Guardian Angel. That's when you know you're crushing the team fight. Next Blink Crush, you've still got it for if someone gets in danger to a Blink Crush with a TA Blink in, you've still got that tool.
Alright, they jump there onto the TA, bringing her down as well. No Shrine this time. Flourish Solo is going to fall, and it looks like the melee barracks as well. And Clutch Gamers going to drop down most likely in this one. barring a miracle, you gotta give him credit for sticking around, if nothing else.
That's the second lane. They get the full lane up top, but they got the melee racks in, and they can take another fight if they really want to. It's not like a scenario where it's like, oh, they took racks, but we may get kills on the retreat. No, you don't want to chase Mineski there. 10 times stronger. So they'll let the racks go. They'll play it out still, but again, it's not like Clutch Gamers have any kind of a late game to fall back on. Their lineup is very one-dimensional in that it's all in on single target physical damage for the most part, and that's exactly what Mineski have kind of drafted to be the Omni Knight pick, giving them Guardian Angel and also just the Greaves, the Aghanim Scepter later on. The SF pick was they picked up against the physical damage. They've drafted to beat single target physical damage, so late game is no sweat for Mineski.
We'll see if they're sticking around just for the meme at this point with one kill away.
Yeah.
But it's looking like maybe a wraparound. Well, Abang, they're pushing the top lane. Tower's starting to go down. It is a, well, 20,000 net worth lead, 15,000 experience. Just a well-executed draft.
Still the Satyr. It goes in to try be annoying and purge off some spells, and Mineski's like, sweet, I'll just take this away from you. Miracle gets that for himself.
Purging off Frostbite as well. Very frustrating way to make this game work. And, I mean, they've got Slarder over here. He's got Invis Rune. But they also...
What's the plan? I don't know. Find the Omni. He's found the Omni. He's like probably telling his team like, guys, I got the Omni. What do we do now?
You can do it.
Oh, he's been spotted.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, blink. Okay, he's out. Didn't get caught by the Ignite, but... Yeah, they're even like pinging out where he's going to be. Like, all right, this Slider's trying to jump us, but...
Shadow Fiend Deso.
Yeah, and just end the game faster.
No, why not? All right, they stole the Purge Creep. Call there now as well, down onto the, well, Shadow Fiend. They didn't have getting the Guardian Angels on him. The Guardian Greaves keeping him alive as well for the moment, and now Ursa is in there. Miracle possibly going to drop. He ends up falling. So they take down the Ursa. Okay, it's a start. The big call as well, but they're still so hard to kill off. They take down Ninja Boogie. Hana as well. Are they going to be able to finish him off? They go for the Requiem of Souls. It is going to come out now, and the time lapse trying to get alive. Abang very low. Another crush. This is about as best of a fight as you could possibly have. The Death Requiem as well. They find a triple kill for Armel. What? Mineski, come on now.
Swing.
Okay.
And that's why you stick around in a game. You hope for that overextension. You hope you get that good initiation, and SF a bit too far forward gets really low. Even though he initially survives it, it's Miracle who jumps in, worried that SF's in trouble, so he's like, all right, I gotta help out my buddy, and save your buddy Syndrome ends up getting all 5 killed, and I think I know what you're laughing at. That gold change.
That is 8,600 gold swing, the majority of it going to a TA who has queued up a Maelstrom at this point. They didn't end up giving the kills away for the meme, but they might have done it themselves. My goodness. What a freaking play. Clutch Gamers, does it change the complexion of this game? Does it change the status quo?
I mean, honestly, not really. It does if it happens again and again. Once more, and I think Mineski start getting rattled a bit, 2 or 3 times more in the game. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's even at that point, but it's a very much more winnable situation. This game is still, I mean, it's not lost. They're still in the game. They just won a big team fight, cleared out all 5. Don't get me wrong. There still is a chance for the rating side, but I wouldn't call this like a winnable game in the sense like they've got like a reasonable chance. They're still very reliant on Mineski making mistakes, overextending, but the nature of these 10th Valve qualifiers is that you're put in a position where you're under pressure, and those mistakes, you're more prone to making those mistakes. But next Roshan's going to be the big test. Mineski will be pushing high ground with an Aegis, and I think that there, I mean, the Deso to try and end the game faster for SF kind of backfires a bit. He was very glass cannon-y, does a lot of right-click damage, but doesn't stay alive quite as well as he'd hoped for. A more stat-heavy build like a Manta, or even a Butterfly first could have maybe been a bit better, but either way, I think Mineski's still very confident. Probably just like, whoops guys, that was a bit of a mistake, but now we've got Ags, now we've got another B-Fly or an Aegis coming soon. They're going to have some new sweet items to go push mid with in like 3 or 4 minutes time. They're in no rush to end this game.
Yeah, the OD or the Omni Ags is kind of an interesting one too, because I don't think it's to the same level as the Shadow Fiend, just like Deso, let's get an item that ends the game now. But it is also like, you know, maybe another, I don't know what would have been better. Maybe like a Lotus Orb or something could have helped to save it alive more. Maybe you can just stay out and not get the first one initiated on that global presence.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have it if the game was going to drag, but yeah, they were kind of like in a position where it's like, all right, let's win now. So having pieces of the Ags and even the Ags doesn't make necessarily the biggest difference. It does give you an extra 2 seconds duration, which is pretty. I mean, considering it's all physical damage, the duration aspect does matter. And right now, is there any
9.
purge creeps around? It doesn't look like 9 seconds. I don't think there's any purge creep up, although Weaver likely to be looking for one. Oh, he's camped his creep in there. He's using it to try and. I think they know like we got to stop Roche from happening again. Mineski took what 4 racks and that was without an Aegis. So give him an Aegis and chances are you'll lose that 5th one. And Hannah.
Oh God. Blinking from bad to worse.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at him. And I feel like this is his blade mail is actually a pretty important item timing, just because that's where you can punish the SF Desto. If you blink call him with blade mail on, he's hitting himself. He's doing damage to himself with a blade mail. But Axe without a blade mail is not all that scary for his blink initiation. So Axe is playing a bit greedy, trying to farm up his blade mail, and kind of gets punished there. And Mineski says, "Forget Roche. We just killed one of the. I mean, you take away one hero and suddenly pushing high ground gets a whole hell of a lot easier."
Yeah. Now the buyback comes from Axe. They know that they are going to need him here to stop this. And
guess what? They can go Roche now.
Yeah. Mineski a little bit gun shy about going up high ground. They just want to secure that for themselves. The blink forward. They spot out that's there. It does look like Clutch Gamers are actually moving forward to contest. They know they have to.
Yeah, they kind of do. Axe's blade mail nowhere near, so they're not even going to have that item for the next fight. So I think they just say, look, Roche or bust. Are they actually? This is. I mean, I don't like. This is the kind of ballsy play you sometimes have to go for when you're down 4 lanes of racks at 28 minutes.
All right, they're
taking
going
Roche
in
for
for it.
themselves.
Ursa in, they're on top of it. Who's got the faster fingers, though? They end up going in for the call. They've caught now onto the Shadow Fiend, and, well, that is going to end up being the Aegis for the Ursa. Guardian Angel comes out. Time to run away. Clutch Gamers in trouble. They pull back Armel. They're also able to kill off, too, with the Shadow Fiend on the south side of the fight. You can see off to the side, and it does look like with that, maybe, just maybe, Clutch Gamers are going to get out of this. Armel's actually stuck in the trees right now. But
Made a nice little 4-staff to get out of the river, but yeah, he's still in a bit of trouble. He'll blink himself out in a sec. And will be alive for the high ground defense, but yeah, with Aegis in hand, I mean, it's not really even about the Aegis at this point, it's just about having those heroes dead more than anything. And TA, uh-oh.
yeah,
Goodbye.
we have a buyback on the TA. There is still no Slardar for 7 seconds. They're going to use the glyph for this. Holding on to the best of their abilities. The jump forward, the call onto Miracle, okay, they get the dunk, that's Aegis gone, but now they're mega creeped. And Mineski, a good call again with the crush. They burn through Ninja Boogie, but it feels like it might kind of be a little bit fruitless. Jewel's gonna go down as well. They've got good chase. It's gonna call it right there.
They'll get some supports, you know, but it's mega creeps. Their lineup doesn't really defend mega creeps. I mean, I don't mean to be a bit of a Debbie Downer here, but yeah, it's this game.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going places for Clutch Gamers, but gonna be a bit realistic about this one. But no, I mean, I think Clutch Gamers have shown some good resilience in their high ground defense, but I mean, realistically, it's such a big lead from Mineski. They did such a good job winning the early game with the Ogre, winning 2 1v1 matchups that they were at a disadvantage in just because of the Ogre's movement around the map. And with Mega Creeps, it should be the nail in the coffin at this point, although, again, Clutch Gamers, Valve Qualifier, they'll play this one out. Any other tournament, non-Valve tournament or online match, they'd be GGing right now, but they want to make sure that Mineski have to fully earn and work for that win.
Absolutely. There ain't no layups around here. That's the phrase, I think, as it goes. And I guess that in some ways they've built into Maelstorms to try and deal with the lack of wave push that they've got. TA can sort of make it happen. So they're holding on for the moment. And if there was ever a way where they could start pushing down a lane, the TA does take towers incredibly quickly, and Weaver can too with a good amount of farm. But it just feels like it's going to be so long. Like they would have to push it to like 70 minutes holding mega creeps.
Yep. The only way they win this game is, it's like 50, 60, 70 minutes. Like, it has to go super long. They're still super underfarmed. Like, they need to get items. The only way they get items is pushing into them and dying a few times. So they're just going to sit back, wait for Mineski to push. If Mineski really, really want to slow roll it, they'll just wait for another Roche. Right now, Radiant side's not getting that. Even though lanes are pushing in, these mega creeps don't give all that much gold. And Mineski can just take advantage of having the jungle if they want to play the farm. again, I think Mineski are far enough ahead. They don't need to do that. They've got all the items to fight with. SF showing himself.
Going out. Frostbite. Okay. Hana is there for a call if he wants to go in. Able to find it now onto 2. The Blade Mail as well. A lot of damage there onto... Oh, they just barely get the Guardian Angel off, and now Armel in some trouble.
Close.
Yeah, they weren't quite able to finish that one off. It would have been a big kill if they could have started off with the Shadow Fiend, but Armel very much in a corner at this point is going to die. Just barely they bring down the Shadow Fiend, but GG is going to be called in. Quick disconnects as well. Clutch Gamers drop, but Mineski are going to move on to the finals, and a shot at, actually a spot at Kiev as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's like the classic Mineski playing well game right there. They win the lanes, have that Jules roaming support, be very active in the early game, and then have some explosive performance from Bimbo, right, from their individual players. Bimbo really stepped it up, RR on the offlane. Omni really stepped it up, and then, I mean, I guess to complete the Mineski Classic game, they even got team wipe when they were up in a really convincing position. But I think the big thing to take away is that Mineski are a top contender in this SEA qualifier. I mean, everyone, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So all 4 of these teams are contenders and can walk away with one of those 2 spots, even with Faceless, like perhaps the top runners, like there is a second spot up for grabs. So every team in this SEA qualifier knows with 2 spots there, even if they have terrible records against Faceless and maybe don't feel good about beating them, you still fight for that second slot. And right now, Mineski one step closer. For Clutch Gamers, they're gonna have to battle their way through the lower bracket.
And we can, take a look at the brackets in just a second as well, and keep our eyes on what it is that's actually happening there, where it's going to be Clutch Gamers going 0-2. A little bit later on, we're going to be seeing Faceless versus TNC Pro Team. But, depending, I think that most people are expecting the Faceless to take this first slot. They've been able to be pretty perfect throughout their regional qualifier run. The only thing that might end up, having them stop up is Mineski have really looked like a new resurgence. So maybe Clutch Gamers also thinking that they could see Mineski later again. Just a lot of stuff to come in these SEA qualifiers. Any final thoughts on who you feel like is coming out with the edge in the next game that we've got as well?
I feel Faceless is always going to be like, it's hard to ever bet against Faceless in these SEA qualifiers. They've been so consistently dominant in the SEA region, winning next to everything. As far as tournaments goes, yeah, they dropped a game or 2 in the group stage. They didn't get the number 1 seed, but I feel like that's the group stage. Faceless are gonna, in best of 3s, I favor them much more in a best of 1. In a playoff tense, like high pressure situation, I favor them over the other teams as well. So I feel like Faceless to me is the team I would back to win this qualifier. Obviously, that's not like a guaranteed thing or anything, but Mineski, if anything, they've shown they can be competitive. TNC in the past have had good LAN experience. They're definitely on the up and up after their Star Ladder run. So it should be a really good series, but I think Faceless should take it.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. We still have a couple more matches to be played today. Of course, the winner of the next series is going to face Mineski, and then the winner of that series is going to be guaranteed the first spot to Kiev out of the Southeast Asian qualifiers. But stay tuned, more to come. That's going to do it for us, Lyrical and Gods, and we'll see you guys in just a little bit.